Actually, a long time ago, I had done a number of pieces. I had some people come in and want an art piece on leather because they didn't want to have a functional piece like the handbags and stuff. So I had actually done a number of pieces, and every year I would put out maybe 3 pieces like that. Some of them were three-dimensional, some were wall pieces, but they were stuffed with horsehair or something, and then carved like that. And they also had, they didn't have stones so much, but other found objects in them. But I think you could sort of see the relationship of those early pieces to these pieces, which I'm doing now. It goes pretty far back in my career, but I had a client that wanted a really quite monumental piece. So I hadn't ever done anything quite that extensive with the stone and leather, so I thought, well, I'd better do some experimental pieces, and really started to get into them, and then I did this large piece, and it's probably been 5 years now, and so it just kind of took off from there. So I got more and more involved with the stones, with the way I wanted to portray things, and my other work is a little bit more realistic, but I like to stylize this and use the linear line to express what I'm trying to show. So the leather starts out, it's naked in color, like this. It's a vegetable tanned leather, and I wet it, and it gets formed over the panel that I'm using. And the panel that I'm using, I often manipulate it, adding parts to it and taking parts away for the stones, depending on what I want, what kind of 3D effect I want, or how I need to incorporate the stone into it, you know, to make it stay there. So yeah, so the stones are also like quite interesting part of it, because they're I think people are relate to stones. They have metaphysical qualities that people they have healing qualities. I've had quite a few people purchase a piece from me and then say, well, this helped me through a really bad time, and I felt really good looking at it, and it gave me this feeling of groundedness. So that's another thing that I've really enjoyed, when I work with people on things, and when I also just put things out there and say, this is what I'm doing. So I use all kinds of stones, like moonstones. They're related to the labradorite. The labradorite I use a lot, and it signifies the aurora borealis, which is the night sky, and I think you can see that in it, and it's also reflective and you can see through it. And my work is sort of encompasses kind of like a life cycle of something. Usually my subject matter is something like that, and so I'd like to have those dimensions sort of increased through the work. The rebirth is a composition that I photographed that tree up on Door Bluff, and I lived on Door Bluff for a number of years, and the tree was, lots of trees up there are wind stressed. They might even fall over, like this tree had fallen over, but its roots were into the rocks, and so after it fell over, it started growing vertically again from the trunk, but the roots were all encased with rocks that it had pulled up with it. So I just thought that those rocks looked like they were like in the womb, or it was regrowing, and there was a center to it. So that's why I used, and then of course you could see the bluff from there, because it's on the overlook, an overlook of the water. So then the other ones are, I love trees, of course, and the center of trees. Tree rings are, a cycle of life and show the history, a long history of a plant growing. One of the biggest plants, is a tree. I think it is the biggest plant anyway on Earth. So the rings are kind of concentric but irregular. So I thought I would use that, and I would use a round way to show it. And then I sort of thought, well, I just want to put something on there that's kind of interesting and fools the eye. So I put these painted life forms like the turtle and the salamander and the butterfly. So these things would be like kind of sitting on top of this end of the tree, cut tree. So yeah, and they all kind of go together. So they sort of form a little crescent, kind of like a constellation or something. Oh no, I called it Firefly Moon. This one here, that has all those little tiny moonstones flickering, and a cecropia moth, and